More to us. More to us. The memes come naturally, fandom not so much, maybe.
There was a guy, the guy in the shirt.
Never!
Never!
I have no idea to whom you were referring. This person has never existed. There is, based on the translation from 10 Desires, Yuko does say the line that a troublesome individual may make a return, which is, it's Zune making fun of his own fans. It's pretty hysterical.
Yes.
Like, what do you think of some of the more extreme sides of fans, like Tenchi being like that?
She's not a masochist.
It's all part of what it is. Like we said before, Touhou is enormously large. There's over 100 characters. There's tons of fans. Pretty much anything you want to find, you can, and I will leave it at that.
Who here, if I say the phrase black tay, who knows what I'm talking about? Alright, this was a, it was, I think her dress was black? Is that
Yeah,
what
her dress was black.
And it was from a doujin whose name escapes me at the moment. And it's basically, it's Tay as a character from Perishable Night. She's a rabbit about gay high. And she's talking about how there are as many different Gensokyos as the fan base dares to dream about. So, for some people, masochist tenchi is the way to go. For others, just kind of jerk board tenchi is the way to go. It varies from person to person. I've seen iterations of each personality that I like. I've seen iterations of each personality that I don't like for a whole bunch of characters. And you can pick and choose what aspects of the characters you like too, to kind of format your own opinions, and it's really up to you to create your own Gensokyo, essentially, is what the point of what the black tay phrase is.
It's probably worth noting that some fan stuff actually becomes acknowledged by Zune, like Kawakuma and Cerno's sidekick. They actually, the fan names became the official ones.
Yes, there has been some transfer that way as well. Chirino's the one that strikes out the most to me, I guess, because she's actually recurred. Zune has a habit of introducing new characters who are pretty cool and then never bringing them back because he likes making new characters. And Chirino has actually appeared in like 3 or 4 games now.
Yes, over there.
For each of you, which is your favorite game, and which game got you started into Touhou?
In Perishable Night on both levels, it is the first game that I managed to beat in one go. I'm surprised I stuck around that long for it because it still took me 2 full years to beat it. I'm pretty terrible at the games, but I just love bashing my head against the wall until I actually broke through it.
It's my favorite too.
Yeah. My introduction, because I am at very least slightly OCD, was Embodiment of Scarlet Devil. I ended up wanting to play through them from beginning to end as far as the Windows games went. My favorite game eventually ended up becoming Shoot the Bullet, because I was a huge Aya fan, and I appreciate it. I'm not patient. So I'm a very good guy to go. So the style of Shoot the Bullet appealed to me a lot in that it was an excellent difficulty, and for me it was excellent timing. It was like, oh, I failed, but this took all of 15 seconds so I can try again, which is even more to beat the head against the wall. Of the regular shooters, I would probably have to say that my favorite is Subterranean Animism. Because that ended up being I felt to me was the best it was the best combination of music and bullet styles and what the characters became over time. As I found myself really attached to the family, the palace, the earth spirits, as they were fleshed out by fandom.
It's hard for me to pick my favorite, so I'll skip that part now. I can't pick favorites of anything without taking lots of time. My introduction to the series was Perfect Cherry Blossom. In a past life, I was a kind of obsessive Mania 2DX player, so that introduced me to the style of games that people who hate themselves play. So at the time, the Kushalor, which is one of the biggest, Wakaba 4chan, Futaba, whatever you want to call it, anonymous image boards in the West, is all actually Touhou plus Rose and Maiden, and now also plus Yukishi 7. But at the time, I was kind of a Rose and Maiden fan, so it was a good source for images. And eventually I started getting interested in what Touhou was as well. So I happened across the Touhou wiki and saw the images of Yuko spell cards from Perfect Cherry Blossom boss fight. And at first it's like, number one, oh my god, this is beautiful. Just the arrangement and the colors. And number two, I have to play this game.
Oh God.
You want to take this one first? I know I'm talking about your favorite character.
I've already done that a few times today, I think. Oh, geez. My top, I do not really have I've argued with myself back and forth to pick a top favorite character, but I have this almost holy trinity between Mei Ling, Aaron, and Yuko, and I just can't pick, really. In terms of least favorite, it's Vermilious Scarlet by a long shot. That's the reaction I was hoping for.
You've actually got that reaction. You've actually got pops for that.
Yeah.
People cheered you for saying that, which boggles my mind, because I always thought she was popular.
I just do not deal with people like Vermilia. If I was asked to actually serve a person like her, I'd probably wind up bringing a bomb to a room or something, doing something like that. I'd probably go absolutely insane. Everything that I would just troll her at every turn that I possibly could.
I'm very glad that the Aya cosplayer asked me this question because Aya is my favorite character, so that worked out very well. I've also fanboy spasmed over Racing, which you saw earlier in the Bar Producing video. There was Shikieki and Komachi, which you showed earlier in the Taco images. As far as least favorite characters go, I have a good number of them that I really don't like. I don't think there's anyone I actually outright hate aside from possibly Tay, depending on your incarnation. But generally, because I'm a racing fan, and yeah. I think generally my least favorite character and it's really weird because I'm a Yugi cosplayer, but it ends up being Arsu Mizuhashi. And no, I'm not jealous. And the decent long line of other characters I don't particularly care for are Amelia as well. There's Kanako, who I see as a cross between a poodle and Alice from Dilbert. Look at her hair sometime, it really is. And then since we have one cosplaying in the front row, I'm not a fan of Yukari either.
Ooh.
Silent reaction.
I don't really have. It's hard for me to dislike people in general. At best, I'm mostly apathetic. It's hard for me to pick favorites too, so I won't claim that any particular character is my favorite. But I usually answer this question with Alice, mostly because there's this one Kagero comic with Alice and Sanae, and he actually, Kagero actually portrays Alice as a competent and talented individual, which is almost unheard of in the Touhou fandom, but it's just a really nice comic. Sanae also tends to be kind of close to the top just because I find her circumstance interesting, since she's basically a living god from the outside world who came to Gensokyo essentially for her survival. It's the idea of her being an outsider adapting and an extraordinary person who's now kind of turning run of the mill within Gensokyo. I just find those aspects interesting.
Yes?
What's your guys' favorite music of the series?
I can have answer.
That's. You want me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, there's a lot of good tunes in Zoom's works. I do believe he was originally intending to write music for fighting games. I really like Yuko for a whole lot of reasons, and Border of Life is one of my favorites of the series. There's a dozen others that I'd have to go through, so Bloom Nobly, Cherry Blossom, Bloom Nobly, Cherry Blossoms of the Sumizome.
This actually, I tend to do the cop-out answer for this because my favorite song in Touhou is one you've heard already tonight. It is the first Patchouli Fortress song from Megamori, because the instant I heard that, I fell in love with that song, Undying. My favorite Zoom song never appeared in the game, so again, it's a document question answer, is the full version of Wind God Girl, the 6-minute version that was packaged with Bohemian Archive in Japanese Red. As far as actual in-game songs go, that one is very, very hard for me to answer. It is probably the Capital City Flowers in the Sky. That tends to change between that, Doll Judgment, Lunatic Red Eyes. What else has come really close? I think that's about it. Fires in Hokai is definitely up there. It's one of the most. That's one of those. Fires in Hokai is the Touhou 12 UFO Stage 6 stage song, which tends to get greatly overshadowed by the boss song that accompanies it, which is very good in its own right. But Fires in Hokai is a very passionate song, and as I was a fan of the old style of Genesis, when Bill Collins still sang for them, they gave me a lot of flashbacks to what they used to do, so I ended up liking the song even more because of that.
So we have to wrap up. 1 or 2 more questions. I saw you had your hand up. Also can't answer.
That's actually a good question. I spent so much time thinking about that.
While you guys